조명가게입니다.
When Sang-sik asked what place this shop actually is, Wan-yang took off his glasses and his eyes were like cat's eyes. Sang-sik looked and his eyes turned white. Actually, Wan-yang also asked the same thing.
나도 같은 질문을 했었죠.
There used to be a building that collapsed and Wan-yang was trapped in the building with his daughter. His daughter was hit by a large rock and Wan-yang tried to get her out. With all his might, Wan-yang pushed the rock, but he failed because the rock was too heavy. Wan-yang tried again and failed again. Then his daughter took candy and gave it to her father and told him to wake up. Somehow, Wan-yang's body was next to his daughter and they were both hit by a large rock. Then his daughter ate candy and her father promised he would return with help before the candy ran out. Her father left her alone with the ruins of the building. Wan-yang walked down a dark alley and called out to someone, but there was no one there until he saw a shop that was lit up. He entered the shop and there was a woman wearing a hanbok and sunglasses. He asked the woman to help his daughter, but the woman said it was too late. The woman told Wan-yang to leave because she couldn't do anything about it. Wan-yang was very frustrated because that was the only place that he came, but the woman still said she couldn't because his daughter had to come of her own free will. Wan-yang was very angry because his daughter couldn't move and he planned to destroy the place. When Wan-yang took a lamp and wanted to destroy it, the woman immediately took off her glasses and her eyes were like cat's eyes. All the lights went out and Wan-yang couldn't move. His eyes turned all white. Then the woman returned the lamp. When she put her glasses back on, the lights came back on and Wan-yang fell. The woman said that his daughter's light bulb was there. Hearing that, Wan-yang realized that the shop was not an ordinary shop. It turned out that Wan-yang's body was still in the ruins of the building with his daughter and his daughter was scared because her father didn't move. Wan-yang realized that he was dead and he worried about his daughter because she was trapped alone and could only cry. Wan-yang was in the lamp shop because he couldn't accept the reality. Then he asked for his daughter's light bulb. But the woman couldn't give it to him because his daughter had to come of her own free will. Wan-yang would do anything for his daughter and the woman made sure again whether Wan-yang would do it, even if it took a long time. And they made a deal.
거래를 하죠.
Back to the present, Sang-sik still doesn't understand why he's there after the accident. He thought he was a ghost, but Wan-yang said that he's still alive. Before Sang-sik had seen a ghost and he was confused. If he wasn't a ghost, why did he look like a weirdo? Wan-yang explained that in the world, when people die, they walk around and look weird. That's why they're called ghosts. But there, when people are alive, they walk around and look like ghosts. Those who couldn't live until the end because of a tragic accident continue their lives here. There are those who can't accept their death and wander there. Sang-sik felt confused because Wan-yang was talking in circles. He was just curious about what this place was, a place where there were so many weird people walking around. Wan-yang answered that the place was the afterlife.
사후세계입니다.
The man who was always cold was disturbed by the sound of a dog again. He was running out of patience and would find the dog no matter what. He saw the dog and chased it, but the man had difficulty catching the dog because the dog running very fast. Meanwhile in the ICU room, a new nurse arrived who would help them with their duties. She was Song Byung. That was her first job, so she will need a lot of help from other nurses. But her friends seem less enthusiastic. Maybe because she is new to the job, so she needs a lot of practice. The senior nurse told Yang-ji to be her mentor and teach her. Then Yang-ji invited her to learn what needs to be prepared. The most important thing is to identify the patient, presentation, history and status of the patient's care. And the reason they are in the ICU, she must know all that. Recently there was a major accident and their hospital was the closest to the accident. So, there were many critical patients that were even very difficult for them to distinguish and Yang-ji will introduce those patients to Byung. On the day of the accident, he was the first patient to arrive, but he was not a traffic accident patient. There was another accident on the same day. The patient was named Kong Byung-jin. he was a man who was always cold. He got lost in the mountains and stumbled. Actually, it was because of hypothermia. He lost consciousness due to hypothermia on a rainy day, and the rescue team was looking for him. He was lucky because he was warmed up a rescue dog. His vital signs are maintained. Rescue dogs are trained to stay by his side and keep barking when someone needs help, and the dog stayed by his side even in the cold rain. It turned out that the dog was injured because it was stabbed by wood, and Byung-jin finally remembered that moment. He regretted and apologized to the dog. When he arrived at the hospital, he was already unconscious and his rescue dog did not survive. Hyunju's father attended the funeral of his wife, Hyunju's mother. He then called the ICU to ask about his daughter. The senior nurse answered the phone and reported that Hyunju had not woken up. She would call her father if Hyunju had improved. Hyunju's wounds were not visible, but she lost consciousness due to head trauma, subdural hemorrhage, cerebrovascular in the inner dura mater burst, due to severe external shock. There were no visible wounds from the outside, but traumatic subdural hemorrhage has a very high mortality rate. She was with her mother at the time of the accident. Her mother tried her best to protect her daughter, but it was not enough to prevent the shock from falling, and because of the accident, her mother died. When she wakes up, it will be a sad dream. Hyunju cries in her room because she is angry with her mother, and her mother knocks on her door, but Hyunju does not open the door. She takes the pendant necklace from Hyunju's grandfather and then leaves the house. Then there are patients who hug each other during the accident. They are Hye-won and Seon-hae. They were separated during surgery, but Seon-hae has not woken up while the woman who hugged her was not safe. In another world, Hye-won hugs Seon-hae and she tells Seon-hae to wake up. Hye-won thinks the house they are currently living in is too dark, so she tells Seon-hae to buy a light bulb. But Seon-hae can't get out of the house because she always enters the wrong door password. But Hye-won thinks the door lock should be on the outside. The door is open, so Seon-hae can get out if she wants. When leaving the house, there is a light shop at the end of the alley. Go and look for a light bulb. Hearing Hye-won's words, for some reason Seon-hae sheds tears. Then there is Ji-woong, a bus accident patient who likes basketball. Young-ji puts basketball under Ji-woong's bed. She gave a perfect pass. In a dark alley, Oh Sang-won saw a basketball rolling and followed it. The basketball reached where Ji-woong was and Sang-won approached him. It turned out that he had been looking for Ji-woong for quite a long time and was able to find him because he followed the basketball. Ji-woong was confused about who the man in front of him, and someone would tell him while walking because he would get Ji-woong out of there. But according to Ji-woong, the alley had no end. Then someone told Ji-woong to get on his back because he would get Ji-woong out of the alley. Someone carried Ji-woong on his back and walked down the alley. He felt that Ji-woong must be scared because he was in a dark alley alone, but actually it wasn't just Ji-woong who was trapped in the alley. The place where they met earlier, there is a house and there was a woman near the window who couldn't get out of the house. After knowing that he was in the afterlife, Sang-sik thought that people who didn't survive the accident would live in nature. And because he is not dead, he looks like that there. Because he is a detective, that makes him distrustful and always doubtful. But Wan-young thinks Sang-sik is the proof. Then Wan-young asks what is his child's name, and Sang-sik replied that his wife had a miscarriage. Then Wan-young mentioned the names of the fetuses in Hyunju's class locker. Children in that world often have those names, and Sang-sik believed what Wan-young said. Sang-sik was curious why Wan-young didn't tell him from the start. That's because if Sang-sik realized everything, then he would remember that place. Those who want to return must go without memories of that place. If someone returns with memories of this place, then the two worlds will mix. And they can't distinguish time and space. Those who want to return can't build bonds there. And Wan-young who protects that borderline. And the man riding the scooter is the man who tried to lead Sang-sik to the light shop. Won Yang told Sang-sik to go and check, because Sang-sik had found his light. Then Sang-sik lit his match. Something happened in the ICU. Yang Ji saw the movement and approached Sang-sik. Yang Ji checked his pupils and finally, Sang-sik opened his eyes for the first time after being in a coma. Seeing the nurses, Sang-sik shed tears. Meanwhile, the rescue dog led Byung-jin to the lamp shop. Then Byung-jin and his dog entered the shop and the dog showed him the light bulb and he held the light bulb. Finally, Sang-won and Jin-woong arrived near the light shop and Sang-won told Jin-woong to go into the shop and find the light. But Jin-woong didn't think to go in there, but Sang-won persuaded him to go in there. Because that was the only way to get out of the alley, Sang-won also apologized to Jin-woong. And Jin-woong went into the light shop and met Won Yang. It turned out that Won Yang observed Jin-woong, who often passed in front of his shop. Then he asked what he could help with, and Jin-woong said he was looking for light. Jin-woong saw the lights there and he saw a different bulb by itself. Then he touched it and the bulb shone very bright.